Sir, we received a complaint. We need you to step outside. That was the first sentence spoken to me after my grandfather's front door creaked open, the chains still hanging loose, the smell of pine cleaner and old books spilling into the morning air. The officer's voice was careful, rehearsed, like he'd said it 100 times before and learned not to flinch when people reacted badly. I didn't react at all. I just stood there barefoot on the cool tile, holding my coffee, watching the steam curl upward like it was trying to leave before things got worse. Before all of this, my life was small on purpose. I moved into Grandpa's house after the second stroke, after the doctors said assisted living, and he said over my dead body. The house sat at the edge of a planned community that had grown around it like ivy around a brick wall. Grandpa had bought the place in the early 70s when the road was still gravel and the HOA didn't exist. He liked to say the land remembered him. I believed that. Every morning followed the same ritual: wake before sunrise, feed the birds, brew coffee strong enough to taste metallic, walk the perimeter fence, check the latch by the oak tree, listen to the wind move through the leaves like a slow tide. I kept to myself. No parties, no noise, no flags except the one Grandpa insisted on hanging every Memorial Day, the fabric faded thin as old paper. Peace was the point. The first letter came in a white envelope with a blue logo I didn't recognize. Notice of violation, it said. The language was polite but firm, like a smile that never reached the eyes. Something about unapproved exterior modifications. I laughed when I read it. The only modification on that house was time. I called the number listed, left a voicemail. No response. The second letter arrived a week later. Fines this time. Daily accrual. Threat of further action. I walked down to the HOA office, a glass-fronted building with potted plants that never looked real. A woman with perfect posture and a nameplate that read Karen. Yes, really. Told me the house was out of compliance. She couldn't explain how, just that it was. "We're just enforcing the rules," she said. "This house predates your rules," I said. She smiled. "Then you'll want to bring it up to code." That was the moment something shifted, a pressure behind the eyes, a sense that the ground under my feet wasn't as solid as I'd believed. When the third letter came, this one certified, I knew it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was intentional. They escalated quietly. A lien notice, a yard inspection scheduled without my consent, a warning about unregistered occupants. That last one made my hands shake. Grandpa's name was still on the deed. I was there legally, caring for him. They knew that. I'd provided the paperwork twice. I tried to handle it calmly. I documented everything: dates, names, copies of letters. I sent emails that were polite to the point of pain. I quoted statutes. I attached scans of the original deed showing the house's exemption status. The responses, when they came, were vague, or worse, condescending. Neighbors stopped waving. Someone posted on the community forum about declining property values. Another mentioned safety concerns. A rumor spread that the house was abandoned, that I was squatting, that Grandpa had died and no one told me. Isolation crept in like mold. Then came the knock. 2 officers this time, different faces, same script. HOA complaint, welfare check, possible code violation. They were professional, they always are. They looked around, took notes, asked questions. I answered them all, showed them Grandpa's room, his medications, the grab bars in the bathroom. "I'm sorry," one of them said quietly as they left. "We have to respond when they call." That night, I slept on the couch with the lights on. The turning point came by accident. A neighbor I barely knew, an older man named Luis, caught me by the mailbox one afternoon. He leaned in close, voice low. "You know they're not legit, right?" he said. I frowned. "Who?" "The board. Half of them don't even live here anymore. President moved to Arizona last year." That sent me digging. Public records, meeting minutes, corporate filings. It took weeks, but a pattern emerged. The HOA had been issuing fines selectively. Properties near the edge of the community, older homes, owners without lawyers. They were pushing people out and selling the land. My sister, who worked in municipal law, confirmed it. "This is bad," she said, "like criminal bad." We installed cameras, quiet ones, audio-enabled. I started recording calls, keeping backups off-site. Grandpa, lucid on good days, insisted on signing an affidavit. His handwriting shook, but his signature was steady. Then they hit me where it hurt. A foreclosure notice. I stood in the kitchen, paper trembling in my hands, and felt something break open in my chest. Grandpa slept down the hall, unaware. The house felt suddenly fragile, like it could be taken apart piece by piece. For a moment, it looked like they'd won. I packed boxes, labeled them, said nothing. The boxes were the bait. I let them think I was folding. I missed a deadline on purpose, returned a call late, sounded tired, defeated. They grew bold. The HOA president, back in town suddenly, came by with a clipboard and a smile too wide to trust. He stepped onto the porch without asking. The cameras caught everything. "You know," he said, lowering his voice, "this could all go away if you're willing to cooperate." "Cooperate how?" I asked. He leaned closer. "Sell." I said nothing. A week later, the police arrived again, this time with a warrant, per HOA request, allegations of elder neglect, fraud. Panic hit when the door opened, not because I was afraid, but because Grandpa was awake, watching. They searched, they questioned, they listened. Then I handed over the binder, the recordings, the forged minutes, the emails where the president admitted, on tape, that they were clearing out the old stock. It took months after that, investigations, audits, quiet resignations, then louder ones. Charges were filed. The HOA was dissolved, assets seized. The president was arrested for fraud and coercion. The lien vanished. The foreclosure was voided. One morning, I walked the perimeter fence again. The oak tree was still there. The latch held. Peace returned, not because no one threatened it, but because I learned how to protect it. Dignity isn't loud. Justice doesn't rush. Sometimes the quiet ones are just waiting for the right moment to stand. If you've ever felt pushed out of your own life by people who thought you wouldn't fight back, what did you do, or what do you wish you had?